martial arts or from the culture, culturally inclined Filipinos about the film?
Sure. Well, basically, what I did is I created the story. Well, to give you a plot on the story, this is set in a sort of a post-apocalyptic era where it's in a parallel universe where there's a strain of virus that is going around where it transforms people into hybrid creatures, like bloodthirsty hybrids, almost like a zombie, but they're not zombies. They're intelligent. Instead of like becoming sort of like zombies, they actually become more supernatural. Like they have greater powers and they have a thirst for blood. So kind of combining zombies and vampires, I suppose. But the local population, they call them aswang because that's the only thing they can think of. But they're really not in the true sense like the old aswang. They're like the new kind of aswang. Because who knows what aswang is anyway? They were originally invented by the Spanish. They're not, it's not even a Filipino thing, right? So it's basically a term given to something supernatural that people are afraid of. So now we have this we have this strain of a virus that's turning people into these. But at the same time, this virus, the blood is valuable because it gives superhuman powers to people. So there are evil corporations in the world, in this parallel world, that would give tons and tons of money for these blood samples that they can use to like weaponize. So in the jungles here in the Philippines, they have hunters. They have blood hunters. These are guys that actually hunt down these aswang creatures and extract their blood to sell to the evil corporations. So that's what the story is about. But then there's also others, like her character Gabriela and another character Nimbolo, who are on a vengeance trip. They're looking for something different. They're not out to extract blood so they can sell it. They're out to like avenge their families that were killed by the aswang. And down the line, they the most powerful warlords of the aswang come together, and to destroy this entire this entire land. And so the mercenaries, the blood hunters, they join forces with some of the best aswang killers in the land, for a final showdown. So most of the movie takes place during this final showdown. So that's sort of the plot line of the movie. But there's an underlying plot. It's a story of perseverance, of how you start from something and you get destroyed because you weren't prepared for something, but then you recover and you train hard and you learn how to do things the right way, and you succeed. And her character carries that. Her character starts off as this hunters on a vengeance trail, always gets beat up, always gets defeated, but she won't, she will never quit until she gets an opportunity to train with some of the best. And she learns new skills, and she continues her quest, and she nails it. And she's able to find her target and destroy her target, which and reach her goal. So there's the underlying story of struggle, evolution, progress, and triumph and success. That's really what the whole underlying thing is. It's kind of like my struggle too, in everything, in life. So
this gives us something about yourself, so that you will know that you were in 8-time Muay Thai champion.
Yeah, well, I'm a martial artist by heart. I started training Muay Thai as a little boy here in the Philippines when I was 10 years old. It's the only thing I ever did, that I stuck with in my whole life is martial arts. And I grew up doing martial arts even as when we immigrated to the U.S. I stayed with it, and I went to film school and learned and studied filmmaking. And then I told myself I'm going to make martial arts movies, and I don't care what people say. I love martial arts, I love filmmaking. I'm going to make martial arts movies. It's that simple, I'm not out to win the Oscars or anything like that. I'm out to make martial arts movies, period, because that's my passion. It's something I'm good at. so I went to that class to do that. But of course, over time, my from pressure from the family, the whole Asian kind of family culture and in the U.S. and just a lot of opportunities fell in my lap, and I left filmmaking and I went into IT. This was during the internet boom, and so I got into IT. I stayed in IT for a long time. I was actually pretty successful in it. I have two software patents. I have 2 U.S. software patents. I was, a VP of engineering for one of the big U.S. companies, but I was never happy. Because with all the successes I had in the software industry, I kept falling back to martial arts, into film. I'd work in some film productions on the side. I was always competing. I fought professionally. As a fighter, that was like
Perfect news.
Yeah, because she's like everything that we want to represent. She defies stereotypes. You see her walk in and you're like, oh, what a sweet girl. Then she kicks your head off. Or when you see yeah. Or when you walk into a dark alley or something, and you see the shadow of her moving around, throwing kicks and jumping in the air, and you're like, man, that's a tough guy right there. Then she turns around and the hair falls, and it's this pretty girl from you, and like, whoa, that kind of thing. She defies all those stereotypes. You see her move, you think, oh, that's a tough guy, but when you see her face, you think she could never defend herself, And then, and of course, as an artist, she's serious. She can act. She's a trained actress. Even though she started her career as an actress, not just recently, she's been doing her homework. She went to an acting school in a very famous acting school in Beijing, a very classical acting school in Beijing. She spends her time taking acting workshops, that sort of thing. So she's serious about her trade. She knows what she has to do to be the best at what she does. And so I appreciate that. And it's a great combination.
What will Conan O'Brien? What will Conan do?
Conan's gonna be basically a villain. He plays the lead villain. I can't really tell you too much about.
He's also part of Encantadia.
Yes.
All I can say that right now I can't tell you everything about what his role is, but I can tell you right now that it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be unlike any role that he's ever taken, unlike anything that anyone's ever seen him do.
Will you be having fight scenes with Chang?
Possibly.
Are you excited
It's a
to see
secret.
the giant?
Yeah.
So the whole film is set in the Philippines?
The whole thing, yeah. It's set in the Philippines.
Do you have actors or crew that are part of the film?
Pardon?
Do you have actors, Filipino actors?
Yeah, we have a lot of, it's majority, it's 90% Filipino actors. My cast is
Monster del Rosario, Will Devon, Roxy, Marcelo. Who else was in? Yung mga Filipino actors na.
Yeah, Ian Ignacio. And then all our bad guys are foreigners. So, yeah.
How about your crew, your staff?
All Filipinos. Yeah, all Filipinos. From stuntmen. I built my own stunt crew.
Vince. Easier to work with the Philippine production team. So after you work with other production teams before.
It's easier. It's easier because I have Elaine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm serious about that. There's so much talent here and there's so much skills. But the problem is the management. There's not enough leaders. There's not enough good leaders, like passionate leaders. There's not enough people I wish I had more people like Elaine. But through her, we were able to get a really good crew of leaders. At the end of the day, an army is not just a bunch of soldiers, right? So you gotta have your officers, you gotta have your generals. They play a very, very important role. If all you have are soldiers, no matter how good they are, no matter how tough they are, no matter how hardworking they are, they have no direction. Someone has to direct them, someone has to organize them, someone has to manage them. And so all those things have to come into play, you know. And when I first started working here in the Philippines, in productions in the Philippines, I didn't see that. I didn't see that structure. I didn't see that management structure that was good enough to actually take an entire army and get them to work properly in sync with each other. There's a lot of things involved. It's not just about knowing how to hammer a nail. It's learning how to hammer a nail with someone else, you know.
Because it's gonna be something no one's ever seen before. And the amount of work and passion and skill involved, I don't think it's really been seen out there. And so, yeah, get ready.
Not even in Hollywood. They haven't seen anything like
If you
this.
guys, if the both of you guys become superstars after this, what will happen?
Yeah.
What's next in
happen?
line? If you become the tandem to beat as far as world martial arts is concerned, what can we expect from you guys?
I only have one goal, is to make movies like these, to make movies that make a difference. You know, stardom is not really part of the equation. I know it's important because it markets. Having marketability, I see stardom as not an ego thing, but it's a marketing thing. You know, when you have a name, it's easier for you to get your movie funded, get it financed, get your vision across. People will accept it a lot faster because you have a name, because you have a reputation. You know. It's just like someone buying a computer just because it's an Apple. You know, it already has a reputation. It could be a crappy version, but still, you know, it's kind of like that. It's easier for me in the future to convey my vision and to create the artistic, you know, visions that I have in films when I have a reputation, per se. You know, you can call it stardom or whatever, you know, but it helps. You know, it helps. At the end of the day, I want to entertain my viewers. I want them to come out, you know, feeling the way I want them to feel. I want them to be excited. I want them to be like shaking in their pants when they come out and think. I want them to, I want them to appreciate martial arts. You know, there's a saying, there's an old samurai saying where someone asked an old master. They said, you know, why do you teach this guy? Why do you teach the gardeners how to fight? You know. And it's and then you try it. Why do you teach a gardener how to fight and then try to promote peace and tell them not to fight? You know, and the response was, it's better to have a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.